All right, one island. Look at it. It's all brushy, and I don't know what they've done to this. It almost, I don't know, those are old brush marks, or it doesn't look that great. They say it's 7 years old. It was built with the house. But man, it's like somebody tried to come in here and fix this. I don't know, but we're gonna strip it and make it new again. So getting ready to plastic off. Let's see. Yeah, you can see those brush marks. I mean, all that flashing, you know, these dead spots, that's called flashing, where the sheen's just really uneven. Boom, boom. It's everywhere. I mean, all that is brushy, and it feels brushy. It feels like a guitar, you know, or a record. Yeah, it's not good. So let's get busy taping. So this is very simple in the scheme of things. It's not that bad of a job. They just had the floors redone. There's no table in here right now. We tried to get this done before they had the floors installed, or not installed, but finished. And scheduling didn't work out, but here we are. We'll take care of it, you know. I've already went around and got my tape, boom, 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 because I don't feel like peeling off a piece of tape one at a time. That way everything's ready to go. So, start masking off these cabinets below. And what we're going to do now, or what I'm going to do now, is just tack it off. You know, with these 4 pieces each. And then after I got it on there, I'll go around with one whole strip just to make sure. I'm going to take that right to the top of these cabinets. Like I said, I've got 4 pieces each side to tack it up with. It makes it very convenient. So. So this is Monday morning. Tomorrow's supposed to be 60 degrees. That's wonderful. And it's nice and sunny outside. And I always try to work with natural daylight if I can. It casts the least shadows when you're working on something and you really want to see the details. Now later on, after this cabinet, I've got a desk as well that I'm going to be doing. But I'll take that with me. But these cabinets are really nice. They said they're only about 7 years old. They've got a nice antique to them. And you can tell it was professionally done. They did a really good job. I couldn't have done better myself, to be honest. And I do have a cabinet, or an antiquing job that I did, that I've got a little bit of video on. Here's a little bit odd because there's no cabinet over here. This is kind of like a table. Chair will slide, or a stool will slide underneath here. So we're going to just tack to the bottom side of the island. Alright, I've got everything tacked up there, so now I'm gonna make sure it's fastened. Now if you take the time to do this and do it right, it saves you a lot of headache. I mean, we're going to be dealing with a chemical stripper. And, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world to work with, although now it's kind of harder since they've changed the formula as of a couple of years ago. But it's not that bad. I have burned myself, chemically burned myself with this particular type of stripper back in the day. You know, just up to a few years ago, the stripper was, oh gosh, what was it, methylene? Or not methylene, geez, it's not Breaking Bad stuff. It'll come to me. But it had the active ingredient, and it worked really well. Unfortunately, you know, it got into the wrong hands and people started hurting themselves with it because, doggone it. But the fumes hang about 18 inches above the ground, okay? And so somebody was using a stripped bathtub and they got in there and of course put their head in the tub for whatever reason, bending over. And they passed away, unfortunately. And so, I want to say it was the Obama administration. I'm not picking politics here, but their environmental, the EPA at that point gave us a couple more years with it. And then we had to change the formula for the stripper. So, the stripper's made of something else now. It kind of smells worse than it did before. However, that's possible, I don't know. But it's unpleasant and it's less effective than the old stuff. And here's the part that gets me. It'll say right there on that label to wash up or neutralize after you're done stripping with paint thinner, mineral spirits, okay? If we did this for environmental reasons, you know, the old formula was soap and water, okay, is my point. Soap and water. So now we gotta use paint stripper to clean our hands or to clean, you know, neutralize the surface. I never understood that, but, you know, what do I know? I'm just a painter. So, all right, I'm gonna make sure this is really, that tape kind of wants to fold down in there. And guess what I should have done is open these doors and kind of run some tape while they were open. That way when they close, they don't leave me exposed up here. It's getting a little bit of, I mean, it's pretty far in there, about an inch or two, but just in case stripper would drip off and somehow get pushed underneath there. So you want to watch out for that, because the stripper, you know, you got very little time. Usually once it hits something, and even though you wipe it straight off, it might not strip that particular spot, but it's probably going to leave a mark, you know, which is going to stand out like a sore thumb. I'm trying to get up here all the way back. I think that should do it. And this leg goes, right? Doing good on that side. There's no cabinets. Once more, because here's the deal, once this is finished and it looks awesome again, that's when everybody's gonna get up and look at it, you know, because it's new, or it's just never finished. So naturally you're gonna take a look at it, and go around and check all angles. As a homeowner, I would. So they might not, you know, there might be a flaw in this cabinetry that's been there forever, but then all of a sudden, you know, they see it for the first time. You know, that's why you want to tape off and make sure you prep everything correctly. It just avoids, you know, it's not their fault. You know, it just happens. I've heard of stories, and this is why I don't bring drinks into the house. I've heard stories where somebody would bring a soft drink into the house, you know, a fountain soda, and the guy swears up and down. This is another company, but the guy swore up and down that, you know, the coffee ring wasn't there, you know, and my buddy at the time, he used to own his own painting company. It was one of his guys that did it, and once you set something, you know, you set your soda down, and that coffee ring could have been there for 20 years, but you know what? You just brought it on yourself. And why you would set something down in somebody's house like that, I don't understand in the first place. That would have been a problem. So we never bring our drinks inside. Something, you know, 90% of the time, it kind of presumes too much sometimes. Also, you're avoiding a lot of headache. You know, back in the day when smoking was the thing, sometimes you'd get these homeowners to say, I don't care if you smoke in here. Shoot. Don't ever do that. No, I haven't seen that or heard of that happening in a very long time. It's probably back in the 80s or early 90s. But it's like, man, come on, don't smoke in somebody's house, even if they invited you to. You know? So we're going to tape off the neck here. And I'm just going to go a hair over where it covers the wood. I mean, so slight, like maybe the width of a few hairs. And that's just going to make sure you know, we're talking like a 1/16 of an inch away from the actual finish on the plumbing. You know, if you tape it right to that line, okay, you might have a leak. So, you don't want to do that. And you'll see I'm using blue tape. I'm not a big frog tape fan. I can talk about that later, but yeah, that's applicator error 90% of the time. So, all right, we are ready, I believe, to start stripping. I'll be right back in about 5 minutes and we'll go from there. All right. While I was gone, went ahead and got my steel wool pan and knife, and that is the stripper. All right, you can see what I've done here as far as taping that off, and I'll give you a quick run around. What I was worried about here, you've got nothing to worry about, but that area here and this area here above these cabinets, the tape, you know, that's 2 inches away, so hopefully we won't be pushing our stripper that far under. So I'm gonna start laying this down. All right. There, hopefully that's a good angle. So alright, we've got our drops down. Don't leave the drop once you do this. In fact, I'm going to grab some other drops. When I leave here, I'm going to wear my socks, take my shoes off just in case I've stepped in anything. But put you a little bit down. Well, I don't say a little bit. When it comes to stripper, it's a liberal application. Alright, so don't be putting this on in thin coats. And don't be painting it on like you're painting, okay? This is stripping, this ain't painting. There we go, already had something fall on my plastic. Now this stuff won't go through plastic, of course, but you want to avoid the mess when you can. And so when I'm applying this, I'm making sure, you know, I don't have drips going every which way. And when I come to a corner, you know, I'm not using my brush in such a way it's going to flip this material, you know, 5 feet across the area. You see me going into corners, I go gentle. That's what she said. All right, we've got a stainless steel sink here. We've got that inside rim that we've got stripped, so stainless steel is not going to be affected by this stuff. It might clean it a little bit, but that probably won't even happen here. So I'm going to take this in sections because this stuff evaporates fairly quickly. And so when I'm applying this, you kind of see that you don't want to do what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm getting it on there, but I've got these puddles here I need to strike out. Okay, I'm going to just lay them off even them out. But I want to make sure I've got my material in a decently heavy coat. Okay, like I said, you don't want it thin because this stuff, as it works, it's evaporating. It's doing its job, stripping the finish. It's already coming up over here, which is, this is one of the things, you know, if this is only 7 years old, I don't know, as streaky as it was, they say nobody's come in here and tried to fix it before I got here. It sure looks like it, but so I would think if this came with the rest of the cabinets, which look awesome, by the way. I don't know. I don't know if the same person did it, but. So here's the deal. I've got like a third of this coated. Now it's at this point I'm gonna pour more on there because this is gonna have to sit for 15 or 20 minutes. Okay, so you just go over it. Once you do it once, go over it again. Pour that material on there. Okay, this is heavy stuff, and you don't want to paint it like you're painting, okay, but you do want your brush marks going in the same direction with this stuff. They appreciate that. It'll say that on the container, and what they're trying to do is just keep you from having dry spots. You know, every time you pick up your brush and start moving it in the middle of a wet surface, you're creating a little dry spot right there. So they don't want that happening. So now I've used pretty much everything that was in my pot just in this little area. So I want this to sit. I don't want it to dry up. There's no dried up paint stripper is harder to remove than had you not let it dry up. It's a little bit more of a pain, you know. So all right, I'll bring that camera over here so you can see how much I've actually got piled up here. Now this is going to take about 20 minutes to work. And after I get one section, you know, I don't want to go across the whole table because it's going to start drying up over there while I'm still dealing with this. So once I get this to a, you know, it's already been, you know, stripping and I'm cleaning it, I'll go and apply stripper there. That way I've always got something baking as I'm working with my, you know, the area that I'm in. And another thing, keep an eye on these runs over the side. Never hurts to check, just to make sure. Don't keep striking it out. I might be setting a bad example, but I'm applying material as I do this. If you keep striking it out, you're just going to make it dry that much quicker. So, set that down. I'll stay on my drops over here, and I'll give you guys a quick peek. All right. There. Gives you a good idea of how much stripper, you know, you're just gonna let that soak. You see, that's almost like, it's a goodly amount, but believe it or not, it takes about that. Now this is, if you're ever doing a door, which I do quite a few of those, it gets even messier because, you know, gravity and such, but we're just gonna let that sit. for about 15 minutes, okay? This would be the time to go outside, grab a drink of coffee, and just give this time to work. You never want to rush it, okay? The stripper will work. Doesn't work as well, like I said, with the old formula, or as the old formula, but it does do the job. It just, you got to baby it. Now you can kind of see right there where it's already, when you see those dry spots, and believe me, that was just as heavy as everywhere else. But that's where it's starting to do its job. And this is what I mean about the runs, because eventually it'll start sagging over. This stuff is a paste, so it's designed to kind of stick, but it will sag, especially when you've got that much material. So we're gonna let this bake for a good 20 minutes or so. And then we'll move on to that section. Right on.